stoked that to be doing this. It's super fun for me. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you guys before. Hey, Tracy. But I was a homeschool teacher for 20 years, so teaching is kind of in my blood. I like doing it, and that's why I do this kind of stuff. So last week we had our garden week. Hey, Dylan. And I talked about hardening off seedlings for planting outdoors. So if you want to find that, hey Amanda, hey Candy, if you want to find that video, then you can head over to the group itself. You'll have to go to the group page, and in the left-hand side, I don't know if this is showing right or left, but at any rate, in the left-hand side, there is a link there for videos. And so you can find last week's videos on hardening off seedlings there, or if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can find that video there because I upload them to there as well for my YouTube subscribers. So if you're not yet a YouTube subscriber, but you prefer YouTube, you can head over to stonefamilyfarmstead.com YouTube, stonefamilyfarmstead.com/YouTube, and that should take you directly to my page. Hey, Apple Joe Farms, glad you're here. So if you're watching the replay on YouTube and you want to participate in the lives, and have your name mentioned or ask questions or whatever, you can do that by going to stonefamilyfarmstead.com/community and joining my Stone Family Farmstead community group. So if you want to do that, that's available. And also one last thing, for freebies on things like herbs and other homesteading things, anything that will help you grow for you, or with using herbs or with gardening or any kind of homesteading things that I write about. I have a ton of freebies over in my community, at my blog in my resource library, and that is stonefamilyfarmstead.com/subscribe. I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast, you guys. So anyway, that's all the business. Let's get on with the herb stuff, okay? So there are many ways to use herbs for medicine, and right now I'm taking our moderator, Heidi. Oh, I wanted to mention that, you guys. If you guys don't know Heidi Villegas, she is our moderator here in the group. She's super knowledgeable about herbs. She just finished an herb course. So if you haven't talked to me about or heard me talk about that before, you're going to want to head over to Stone Family Farmstead /herb course and check out what she has over there. I'm about halfway through, and she keeps adding stuff to it. So last week I was 52% through, and now I'm 48% through because she keeps adding stuff. Thank you so much, Heidi, for all of that, all of your work. But at any rate, Heidi is here moderating for the group, so she's going to be able to answer some questions. Like I said, she's super knowledgeable. She's going to share some links from her blog and links from mine as things come up, so keep an eye out for that. And don't forget to say hi to her because she's a super sweet lady. So anyway, let's move on. So like I was saying, there are many ways to use herbs for medicine, but we're going to talk about just 4 right now, the 4 most common ways that people are using herbs for medicine right now. So I'm going to discuss today teas, tinctures, salves or balms, and capsules. So most of the people here probably are very familiar with teas and capsules. Maybe not so much with tinctures. Maybe that's just something that you have heard of when you're reading about using herbs. And then salves and balms are pretty common. You can get them at the store or whatever. They're not all necessarily herbal, but we'll talk about herbal ones today. Okay? So teas are by far the easiest way to self-medicate using herbs, and it's the most familiar to us. So we talked about last time we were talking about herbs, about that big huge wall of medicinal teas that are available in the coffee aisle at the store and all that. So we know that tea use is on the rise, and people have been using it forever, really, just throughout the ages, and for really good reasons, because they work. and they're easy to make. But most of the time when we make tea, we usually will steep for 3 to 5 minutes or something, and then, you know, we'll go ahead and drink our tea. But that's not necessarily a medicinal tea. Those are more like teas for enjoyment, and that's fine. You know, that's a nice healthy way to use herbs and to bring herbs into your life. But I'm going to talk about how to use them actually medicinally. So when you're going to use, like say your loose herbs for a medicinal tea, and I talk about loose herbs because, and I talked about this last time, that when we're choosing quality herbs, we're probably not going to choose the tea bags, you know, that are in the aisle, because we don't know how old those are. And also because they're powdered most of the time, and so, you know, they oxidize quicker and they lose their medicinal properties quicker. So we're going to talk about oh, thank you, Heidi. Okay, well, actually, I already talked about, I don't want to go over it again, and I know I'm really wordy, and so I can tend to go that direction, but I don't want to go into the quality herbs again. But if you want help choosing quality herbs, you can find that on the last video, the Intro to Herbs and Safe Practices. That's where I cover that. And I also cover it on my blog, but I can't think of what the blog post is. Heidi, maybe you can find it? But anyway, so there are 2 ways to use teas, and you know, for medicine, and you could use it in an infusion or in a decoction. And depending upon which form of the herb that you have, that's going to dictate whether or not you're going to use an infusion or a decoction. So an infusion is pretty much, you know, just what you do when you do a tea for enjoyment. And so this is my green tea. That's what I drink every day. And that's for my enjoyment. It's kind of my wake-up thing. I don't do coffee anymore. So, but I'm not using this medicinally necessarily. But if you were going to use a medicinal tea, you would get your tea and you would steep your herbs in hot water, just like you would for enjoyment. Now, before I start doing that, I want to just share with you a couple of the ways that I make my tea. There are a ton of different ways. Heidi covers a million different ways to make tea inside of her course, but I'm just going to talk to you about what I do. And one of the things I use is my cast iron teapot, and this one is from Tivana, and my husband bought it for me a few years back, and it has a ceramic coating on the inside, so we're not worrying about whether or not it's rusting or anything like that. I like to use that. I don't taste any difference in the tea in any of the ways that I make it. Some people might, and some people might not. But the other thing I use to brew my tea is I use my French press. Now this one is stainless steel. Some people have said that they taste a difference. I don't, and I have to confess that I'm not very well versed on what the way that metals react with tea. However, I haven't tasted any difference. Okay, so a French press is just a vessel. You know, this one's probably about 32 ounces, and it has like a plunger. And so it's pretty much perfect to make tea. Now you can totally get these in glass, which is what I would recommend. But the reason I use this one is because it's just what I have. It's what I had to make coffee. The other way that you can make your tea is in a mason jar. This is a pint jar, but you can do a quart jar and just sip on it all day long or whatever. So let's go ahead and make the tea. This is an infusion, but we'll talk about decoctions after I'm done with this. So basically what you're doing is you're going to get about 5 to 6 tablespoons. I have a third cup, and that's about right. And I'll just put that in there. And the tea I'm using actually is it's what I call cough go away tea. And I don't have a link to it, but eventually I'll be getting around to posting on that. But basically, this is a tea blend that I made for my husband, Todd, because he tends to keep his cough. He gets like a bronchitis sort of thing. And so, you know, he'll keep his cough for, you know, anywhere from a month or 2 or 3 months, and it's really unpleasant for him. And so I made this tea out of mullein, and mullein is an antispasmodic, and it helps to expel mucus and relieves bronchial congestion. And hey, Tammy, cousin. I also use chamomile, and that relieves general aches and pains like headaches, and it's calming, and it eases stress, and it promotes sleep. I also used common mallow, and it's used similarly as marshmallow, and it grows all over my garden. So I will go around, or not my garden, but actually my whole yard. California got tons and tons of rain this year, just crazy amounts of rain, and so I had so much mallow. I went ahead and harvested the baby leaves, and that's what I used inside of here, and that's traditionally used for coughing issues and bronchitis. And then the last herb I chose was spearmint, and it has a sweet flavor, it's relaxing, it tastes good, it's a familiar flavor, and so it's a really good flavor for a guy like Todd who's not really an herb dude. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit. I'm going to make a medicinal version of it, and that means that I am going to infuse that in that hot water for probably 30 to 45 minutes. Now, a lot of people will brew their tea for however long, 15 minutes to half an hour, a couple hours, overnight. I would assume that it has to do with whatever your taste is. The more your tea brews, the longer your tea brews, is that it's just going to end up being more bitter. And so if you're giving it to a person who is not going to like it, who won't drink it if it's bitter, then maybe you might want to infuse it for maybe like 15 minutes or something. But I'm going to go ahead and infuse it for a little bit longer and see if I can get him to take it. So anyway, Heidi says you can use the mallow root too. It has a lot more mucilage, which is soothing and healing, than the leaves. And the leaves are great too. So oh, all right, Tammy. Yeah, cool. Let me know. Hit me up later if you want the recipe again, and I'll help you out. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm glad you guys are talking to each other. That's awesome. So anyway, the next one is going to be a decoction, and you would use an infusion. Let me go back to that really quick. You would use that if you're using the aerial parts of a plant, which means that's just your parts that are above ground, okay? With the exception of bark. So this would be like your leaves or your flowers, like that. And a decoction would be used when you are using your roots, twiggy parts of the plant, bark, and some seeds and nuts. So you could do 4 to 6 tablespoons the same way, put it in your saucepan with a quart of water, but what you're going to do, instead of just letting them sit in the hot water, you're actually going to bring it to a simmer, and you're going to leave it on low and simmer for 25 to 45 minutes. It's going to take a lot longer for the plant constituents to be pulled out into the water. So this is for roots, barks, and the things that I mentioned that are harder, that are going to be for a decoction. And so that's what you're going to want to do that way. Then you would just do it the same, strain and drink it. So if anyone has any questions on making herbal teas, go ahead and post them and I'll grab them in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and go on to tinctures, which is like my favorite. Tinctures are really fun because for me, I like them a lot. I don't know, I just like making them. I don't know if you guys can see back here, but I have just like so many tinctures going right now. I have a St. John's right here. I've got my Restful Night tincture. This is the one I take every night, and I'll share more about that. I've got some finished tinctures. I've got all kinds of them. And so when you're tincturing, what you're doing is you're creating a concentrated version of the herbs that we use in teas and medicine. Yeah, I know. I think that tinctures are a favorite of a lot of herbalists for the reason that they're just stronger and they're quicker to take and all that stuff. But you know, that's my favorite. And that's my reason too. So anyway, so we're creating a stronger version of than we would get when we use teas or other medicines, capsules or whatever. Another reason why I really like tinctures is because they have a long shelf life. So for me, when I buy herbs, I usually buy them off Amazon and I end up getting a pound of herb. So Heidi, you totally know what I mean when, you know, you're looking at a big, gigantic bag of herbs. And for me, I'm not going to use them that quick, you know, for teas and capsules and all that, unless they're a very specific herb that I'm taking for a very specific reason. So, which is not to say that I don't buy all my herbs for very specific reasons. It's just that I'm going to use some faster than I would use, you know, others. So what I like to do is tincture them. And so that way they have a very long shelf life that once I strain a tincture out, this one is an adaptogen tincture that I made. It's a really pretty color. Once I strain that tincture out, I'm going to be able to set it on my shelf, and I don't have, you know, a shelf life of just a year or two to be able to use it. I can use it for a long time. So it's a good possibility that I may never have to buy that herb again. So that's me being frugal, you know, that's what I do. So Tammy, I missed that question, but I will answer it later. Hey, Phyllis. So if I miss any of your guys' questions, it's because I'm kind of far away from the phone. So Heidi is answering some of the questions, and I'll come back afterward and answer them too if I don't get to answer them right here in the live. Okay, so back to tinctures. So they have this long shelf life, and because they're super concentrated, you really have to be a lot more mindful of the dosages, and especially when you're using them on animals or children. So if you're new to herbs, I'm not saying, you know, that you can't use them on animals or children. You're just going to be really careful about it and do study on dosages. Find 3 different people that you trust, you know, herbalists that actually practice herbalism, using herbs on themselves and others, and see what they say about dosages. And I believe that Heidi has a post about dosages on hers and on her blog, and so maybe she'll post that here for us. So when you make this recipe or a tincture recipe, you can use alcohol. I use like an 80 proof vodka. I use the cheapest, you know. I haven't heard anything bad about using the cheapest, though. You know, I know that other people sometimes use a more expensive vodka, or maybe they'll use a higher proof vodka. And so you can make it that way. But if you don't like to use vodka or alcohol at all, you can use vegetable glycerin, or you can use a high quality apple cider vinegar, which you probably already have in your cupboard. The apple cider vinegar I would use would be Bragg's. But just know that if you use vegetable glycerin or apple cider vinegar, it's not going to be as strong of a tincture. So I'm going to show you how I make mine. I agree, Heidi. Yes, if you use the herb a lot, for sure, to buy a pound is, you know, it's the most economical way. That's the reason why I buy a pound every time of whatever it is I'm using. So I'm going to show you how to make a tincture. I'm going to do my Restful Night blend. I'm already tincturing a bunch of it right now because I use a lot of it. And this blend is 5 parts of valerian, 3 parts of chamomile, 2 parts of ashwagandha. And I'll share with you why I use those while I'm making it. So I'm going to make a small bit this time because I'm only going to use a pint jar. And I'm going to start with valerian. This is actually something I've been using, kind of variations of it, but I've been using a tincture every night before bed. Similar to one of these, or this, what I'm making here. So I'm using valerian, and I'm going to do 5 parts. This is valerian root. This is used for stress, tension, insomnia, and to support the nervous system. I think that's 4. Did I do 3 or 4? Oh well. I'm just going to do it over again. I'm sitting here talking and losing. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I had 5, 4, 5. So valerian kind of stinks, and but it's my favorite herb. It's actually really been the most helpful. No, Tracy, yeah, you don't have to use alcohol. Not at all. You can still tincture without it. So chamomile, I love chamomile. Do you guys love chamomile? I'm going to do 3 parts. And like I mentioned before, chamomile promotes sleep. And since this is my restful night tincture, I'm going to use 3 parts of that. And just so you know, using parts is called the simple folk method. And there's another way, a standardized method that you can mix these things, but this is the easiest for me. And the last, let me share a little more about chamomile. It's calming, promotes sleep, eases stress, relieves stress and anxiety. And this third, I did 4. Okay, good thing I did it over again, Tammy. So my third herb is ashwagandha root. And this is a soothing nervine, and it's what's called an adaptogen, so you can take it for an extended period of time with complete safety. And so I'm adding it because this is something I take every night, so it'll make sure that I get my, my favorite adaptogen every single night. And because I forget to take things like capsules and stuff like that, so it's a good thing for me to add. So it's very safe to use. It helps with anxiety, insomnia, and stress. And so I've got my jar filled up, see? So, you know, I got about 2 inches of herb in there, and I'm going to go ahead and use my vodka. And I'm going to cover it by about 2 inches because these herbs are probably going to expand. So I'm just going to do about that much. And I don't have a lid. Hold on a second. Well, anyway, what I would do after this is I would put a lid on it, a tight-fitting lid, and then I would shake it around and I would leave it on my counter, and then I would shake it like every day. And let's see, for about 4 to 6 weeks, even longer is better. You don't have to leave it, you know, indefinitely because there's a point where the herbs just run out. There's no more constituents to pull out of it. But what you can do is, if you forget about it, like you put it in your cupboard or something, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Like I said, the shelf life for a tincture is very long, and so that's great. Then once you strain your tincture off, none of mine are done yet, so I'm not going to do that. You can just put it in one of these kind of amber bottles with a dropper in it, and go ahead and just mark whatever it is. This one's my white willow bark tincture. That's for like neck pain or headache or something like that. That's what I use it for. And this one's my valerian. Last time I made it valerian, passion flower, and marshmallow. This time I did it a little bit differently. Yes, right. So Heidi's saying, keep in mind that the liquid you use to extract the herbal chemicals make a difference in which chemicals get extracted. And so vinegar and water is excellent for nutritional chemicals like minerals, while alcohol and it's cut off there. So make sure to find that post because, like I said, Heidi's really knowledgeable and she has a lot to share. So make sure you read her stuff. Okay, so anyways, let me move on. Actually, let me use this lid and I'll go ahead and shake this. All right. And then I'm going to, like I said, set it on my counter and shake it daily. The next thing I want to talk about is, do you guys have any questions about tinctures? If you do, I'll grab them. But I'm going to move on because I'm actually at 25 and I'm only about halfway through. So I'm going to talk about salves or balms. And just for the sake of ease, the two are slightly different, but I'm just going to call them salves. But basically what it is the thickness or the firmness of the actual salve or balm. And Heidi, if you have anything to add to that, please do. But salves are really good for cuts and scrapes and abrasions and sore muscles. They're made of herbs, beeswax, and oil. And I have this really cool trick to share with you guys about beeswax. But this is how my beeswax is. And if you buy it, you often get it in bricks. But all mine is like this. Well, not all of it, but the reason why it is because I actually break the beeswax bricks up and I melt it on a cookie sheet in my oven. You'll need to line it with parchment. And then it ends up being a thin layer, and then I can break it up like that. And that way I don't have to pay more for the little I can't remember what those are called, but you can get beeswax in like little granule type thing. But I don't want to do that. I'm cheap, and so I just do it that way instead. And so basically, to make a salve or balm, okay, I'm not going to do that here, but I'm going to show you something else about infused oils. Let's see. We're going to make a solar infused oil, and so basically these are the few calendula flowers that I have. They're really beautiful. They came from my garden. They're really vibrant, and so I'm going to go ahead and make a quick infused oil because I don't have any, and just a little bit because a little goes a long way, especially when you're going to use for a salve. So basically, I'm using calendula, which promotes cell repair and growth. It's antiseptic and anti-inflammatory. It's good for bruises, burns, sores, skin infections, and wound care. And so I'm going to cover the flowers with about 1 to 2 inches of oil. And I'm just using an organic extra virgin olive oil. And they're going to come floating to the top, but I'm going to go ahead and stop about halfway up. It's going to probably make me about a cup of oil, infused oil, which will actually probably make me about four of these 2-ounce tubs, which one is sufficient for what you need, I don't know. I guess unless you have a really bad issue or a lot of cuts and scrapes and abrasions and sore muscles, you would use a lot more. But I just went ahead and shook it all up in there, and I'm going to set that in a sunny window for about 2 to 4 weeks and let it infuse using the sun. And so that's super, super easy. And then after that, basically it's going to be that. I'm going to use that, I'm going to strain it and use that infused oil plus my beeswax, and I'll be able to make a really nice salve. Now, if you want it to smell good or you want some other properties in there, you can use some other things. I have an arnica balm that I make, and recently it smells so good. And see how nice it is? I love it for menstrual cramps. I just rub it right on my abdomen. I love it for tension neck pain. I use it for that. I also have used it for lower back pain. I love that. That recipe is on my blog. What I don't think is in there is the suggestion that Heidi gave me recently, and it was to add wintergreen essential oil to it, and that's really made a lot of difference. I love it. It smells so good. And the other salve I just made, this one, see, it's a pretty green color. This one is actually I made an antibacterial oil, and now I can't remember what's in it. But I should share with you, I could share that with you another time, but basically I made it for an ear issue that I'm having. It's not necessarily an ear infection, but it's more of an outer ear infection, so I wanted something antibacterial to kind of clear that up and to heal that up. So that's what I made that for. So we've been through teas, tinctures, salves and balms, and let me see what else. Oh, capsules. So I'm not going to make any capsules because I just found out this morning that I don't have any gelatin capsules to make any, or else I would show you. But basically, everybody knows what capsules are. You can get them at the grocery store. You can buy them there, but I have recently learned that sometimes when you buy them at the grocery store, the herbs are adulterated and cut with other herbs that look similar. And so maybe you might not even be getting the herbs that you think you need. And so I'm not sure what the reason is for that, whether it's a money thing or whether they're trying to regulate the milligrams that are in each capsule. But either way, if you make your own at home, you're going to be able to control that yourself. So depending upon the size of the capsule that you use, it should come with, or you should be able to find information on that. And I think I have it in my blog, my How to Make Your Own Medicine. I have some information about capsules and how much they hold, and what the difference is. And if I don't have it, because I'm kind of having a foggy memory, hit me up on that blog post and I'll see what I can find out for you. But basically, to make your own capsules, it's really easy. It's a little tedious. Yeah, Heidi, I love doing my beeswax that way. It just doesn't take nearly as long to melt either. So even those ones take a little while to melt. So anyway. Yeah, and Heidi says, yes, adulteration is a big problem in the herbal products industry. Look for companies with a good reputation for capsules. So yeah. So I have always just gotten my capsules at Walmart. And so, like I said, recently I found out you're not going to do that. And plus, as I go, this was before, I did a lot of herbal studies and how to do medicine or use them medicinally. And before I figured out or was taught how to find quality herbs and things like that. So now I would probably never buy them at Walmart ever. I would probably be more inclined to make my own, but you don't have to. Like Heidi said, you can find a good company. And so anyway, to make the capsules, you'll need a capsule machine. Sorry about the glare. My favorite size is the 00, but this capsule machine, this company, makes them in like 3 or 4 different sizes, depending on what size capsule you like best. And basically, it's just this little item. This is the body of it, and you would put the bottom part of the capsule in all of these, and then on the lid you'd put the top part of the capsule in here. And so then you would pour your, and I would say that you would want to grind down any like whole herbs, to make a powder so you can fit more in, and plus it's easier to fit, to get the lids on to the capsules if you're using a powder rather than if you're using a whole herb. So anyway, you're going to go ahead and pour the herbs into the top here, and you can use this little thing. It's like a size of a credit card to smooth it all out. Okay, and there's an opening here, so you're going to want to make sure that you're not like dumping it out the side there, but you'll get the hang of it. If you want a more packed capsule, you can use the tamper that comes with it, and it has all these little things that fit right in to the capsule, and so you can sort of tamp that down a bit. And then once you got them as full as you want them, then you're going to kind of use this credit card thingy, to kind of push all the herbs out of there. And then you would put the lid on, and there's a part that comes off the bottom, and then you would just press it down. And that should put the capsules together. There's a tiny little bit of a learning curve, but it's not bad. It's really, really easy. And so that's basically how you do capsules. This one, I think, does something like, let's see, 6, 7, 24 capsules at a time. So if you wanted to do capsules, something that you're using every single day, you could do, you know, however much you need in a month, and all in one sitting while you're watching your favorite TV show or whatever. So it's not a big deal as far as doing it. It's not hard or anything. It's just kind of tedious, and so maybe you'll want to occupy your mind while you're doing it. So if you do end up making a lot of capsules at the same time, you can store them in a mason jar with an oxygen absorber in there. If you don't want to do it like every single month, you can maybe do that and then add, make sure to add the oxygen absorber, and maybe even use a food saver to vacuum seal the lid on so that it'll stay good as long as you need it.